All right, so our last chapter is chapter 10, and this is all about some financial stuff. We're going to look at loans and credit cards and mortgages, things like that. So we're actually skipping 10.1 because that's just all about percents, and I know you guys know how to find percents, so we're not going to worry about that. So we're going to start with 10.2, and then there will be a quiz over 10.2 and 10.3 that you'll have to do. So 10.2 is just simple interest. And the formula we use for that, and I'm guessing you guys have seen this before, which would be great. I equals PRT. So your interest equals your principal, which is your starting value, times your rate, and you need to make sure that's always in a decimal, times your time. Now, normally time is in years, but it doesn't have to be. When we get to the credit card section, they'll give you a daily rate, so then your time is in days. So you just need to make sure the rate and the time match. So if they give you a monthly rate, then you do months, that sort of thing. All right, so this is the formula we're going to be using for all of 10.2. We're going to jump right in and look at something with partial payments. So what this means is that you've taken out a loan or put something on, we're not going to do credit cards yet, but usually take out a loan. And instead of making monthly payments, that's what we'll look at later on, but you don't have to make monthly payments, you just have to pay at the end. But instead, we're going to look at, well, what happens if we make a payment or two during the time that the loan is for. All right, so that's what we're going to look at. We're going to do page 581, number 44 to start with. Okay, so our principal for that one is $7,200. The rate is 5%. And then it starts on January 7th. And the date of maturity, that means the ending date, is August 31st. And then we make a payment, though, of $2,500 on April 10th. Okay, so if we didn't make this partial payment, all you would do is you would have to take $7,200, that's your principal, times your rate of 0.05, times, here's where the weird part is going to be. We need to figure out how many days it is between these two. All right, and then we actually do something called the United States rule, where instead of dividing out of 365, like you would think, we actually divide it by 360. So what the bank does is they just make it so that every month has 30 days, so then there's 360 days. It's really silly. The reason they do it is because it actually gives the banks more money. So instead of doing a normal year of 365 days, they only do 360 days, which is really silly. Okay, so that would be, so then you would find your total. But what we need to do is we need to split this into two separate parts. We need to go from January 7th through April 10th and figure out what that is. Okay, in your book on page 577, there's a whole chart that lists what day of the year everything is. Okay, so you'll have that one, and then I will also put an actual document of it in the file section, so that way you can print that off and you don't have to keep flipping back and forth in your book. All right, so January 7th is day 7. April 10th is day 100. So between those two, there are 93 days. So for 93 days, you have your principal of $7,200. Your rate is 5%. So again, we always change that to a decimal, 0.05, times 93 out of 360. I know that seems really weird, but that's what we use. Okay, so for all of these, whenever you do out of a year, you have to use 360 instead of 365. Okay, principal, rate, time, 93 days out of the whole year. So that, again, you're just going to type right into your calculator. Okay, type it all in. 7,200 times 0.05 times 93 divided by 360. Don't put parentheses anywhere. Okay, just type it in exactly how it looks. And this actually comes out to $93, which is kind of crazy. Okay, so this is the interest. And this book usually calls it the finance charge. So what you got charged from the bank or whatever it is to borrow the money. Okay. So what we have is you started with $7,200 for your loan. You have to add on the $93 of interest, and then you take out the $2,500 of your payment. Okay, so don't forget you have to start, add in your interest or your finance charge, and then take out what you paid, and you get $47.93 for that. So this becomes your new principal. Now we have, it's almost like a second loan, but not really. Okay, so now your principal is only this rather than the $7,200. So from April 10th through August 31st, so we know this is day 100, and August 31st is day 243, so that means 143 days. Then we do the same thing. Your interest is, instead of $7,200, $47.93 times 0.05 times 143 out of 360. Okay, so hopefully these aren't difficult mathematics-wise. They just are pretty long problems. And you'll see that with a lot of these problems in Chapter 11. They're just pretty long problems. So we should get 95.19 for that. So we're always going to round to the nearest hundredth since it's money. All right, so the amount due on August 31st is our $47.93 plus $95.19 for a total of $4,888.19. Okay, so again, it's just simple interest, principal times rate times time. So you need to figure out how many days it is divided by 360 for your time, and then just work through each one, and then at the end you're going to add those two together to get your final answer.